Hello everyone, Tactical here, and welcome back to another Total War Warhammer 3 online multiplayer battle. Today we have another replay sent in by General Spotify, but unlike usual, he is bringing in some spell kit on his Heinrich Himmler Lord, Raise Dead, and Invocation of the Heck. However, with how this battle goes, honestly he played as if he doesn't have any spells anyways. You'll see why in a second. This time he's going up against the Chaos Dwarfs with Contrarian Codex playing as the Chaos Dwarf player. Now, for the army builds on both sides, the Vampire Count's going with a front line of Conraves, flanking those zombies in the center there. So a lot of armor-piercing flanking power, including some Hexraves on the right flank and the Vargeist on the left flank. For the rest of the mobility, a ton of Fellbats and Dire Wolves, one of them the Dire Pack. Definitely ready to find cracks in the Chaos Dwarf defenses and overload them with all the armor piercing, albeit a lot of them are quite glass cannon. And leading an army, of course, Heinrich Himmler, supported by a couple Banshees. Now, for the other side of the battlefield, we have the Chaos Dwarf, a front line of Chaos Dwarf warriors, backed up by a bunch of missiles, a ton of firepower indeed. 3 blunderbusses waiting behind the front line. Hobgoblin archers, 3 infernal gods with fire glaives, and leading the army is Tzeentch the Black on the Lamassu Mount, a very nice choice against the Vampire Counts, as the Lamassu Mount does have the silencing aura to deny the Vampire Counts from using their spells, and of course a Distic Snare for hunting down single entities or monsters, Enfeebling Foe, and Withering bound to the Lamassu, supported by a Demonsmith Sorcerer of Fire. And yeah, that's it for the army builds. Now let's get the battle started. Battle begins, and the Vampire Count spreading their formation wide with their Horde army, trying to overwhelm that Chaos Dwarf position, marching straight towards them with numbers. Chaos Dwarfs will be standing their ground, having that firepower supremacy here. Fellbats do have to be careful though, they're straying very close to enemy formation, and a single volley of the blunderbusses actually combined with the Hobgoblin archers and Infernal Gods with fire glaives. Yep, that Fellbat is gone. These Fellbats might want to get out of there ASAP before they take any more losses. Same goes for the Vargeist, although good news is that these Chaos Dwarf blunderbusses are very much distracted by the Fellbat, so they're too busy to shoot at the Vargeist. Well, on the far side there, Heinrich Himmler took a few shots, I assume from the blunderbusses, but he managed to stay mostly unscathed, while the Conraves will be rushing into the front line and charging down on those Chaos Dwarf warriors. Oh no, the Vargeist took a heavy volley from those blunderbusses, taking substantial damage, making their chances of survival even slimmer, being a rather glass cannon unit. But here comes the Dire Pack, who did took a few volleys from the Infernal Gods with fire glaives. Quite a bit of losses, and the Conraves are also getting burnt down by the Burning Head. Dire Packs, Dire Wolves, and the Fellbats have dropped in, trying to silence the enemy firepower there. Although the Vampire Counts are indeed taking heavy losses, the zombies are still very much lagging behind, but at least Hexraves, the Vargeist, and the Conraves are keeping the enemy busy. Although 2 more Conraves units are still very much far away from the enemy position, unable to do any attacks yet. Over here, Heinrich Himmler is getting hunted down by Tzeentch the Black, even dropping in. No, these are not zombie summons, just zombies being knocked out of position. But yeah, being hunted down by Lamassu, Heinrich Himmler is in big trouble here, dropping in a zombie summon to silence the blunderbusses, but nothing stopping those fire glaives and Hobgoblin archers firing point blank onto this Vampire Lord. On the far side there, Conraves, Hexraves have managed to tie down the enemy blunderbusses and whatnot, but Heinrich Himmler is in big trouble. He managed to squeeze out that Krell summon, so Krell is going to hunt down the Demonsmith Sorcerer, but Heinrich Himmler himself not having a whole lot of armor, being hit point blank by all these fire missiles, and Tzeentch the Black jumping in. Yep, I think Heinrich Himmler is pretty much gone, with Enfeebling Foe nuking his melee stats down to an abysmal number. Well, the left flank isn't exactly going in the Chaos Dwarf's favor, with all their missiles tied down by the scary ghosts. They have managed to snipe out Heinrich Himmler on the right flank. At least for the Vampire Counts, they have their Krell summon, who is now hacking down the Chaos Dwarf Sorcerer. There's not much that the Chaos Dwarf can do to stop Krell from pushing through formation and just keeping his axe aimed at the Demonsmith Sorcerer there. The right flank Chaos Dwarf missiles are still opening fire, and you can see the Hexraves, the Fellbats, they're all taking quite a bit of attrition damage here, even getting hit by Withering, to lower their leadership and get them to start crumbling a little earlier than usual. One of the Infernal God Fire Glaives have been dispatched, the blunderbusses over here tied down by Felbets, but their armor should help them survive the Felbet, and the overwatch fire from the archers and fireglaves should be able to peel off the rather tattered vampire count mobility. But here comes some ghostly cavalry of the Hex Raves, running down the spicy dwarf tin cans. Banshees are also pushing through, and with the terror, these vampire count units, the ethereal units, should be able to break through enemy units a little bit quicker than usual, just like these Fireglaves, terrified by the presence of the Hex Raves and being forced to pull back. Now most of the Chaos Dwarf firepower has been silenced, and their melee troops are occupied by zombies in the front line. So they're not able to come back and reinforce the fight at the back. It is pretty much down to Tzeentch the Black to try and deal with all these ethereal units with the magic attacks on the Lamassu, while the Chaos Dwarf warriors are buying more time for the backline to resecure themselves and Tzeentch the Black to work down the enemy units. Now, good news for the vampire counts is that they have managed to dealt with the Demon Smith Sorcerer. He's dead here somewhere. I think this is the poor guy here. So no more spell casting for the Chaos Dwarf as well. Krell is almost gone now. His summoning counter is almost over, but he has managed to accomplish a very important mission, which is to deal with the enemy spellcaster. Now no more spellcaster means that the Khan Wraiths will last a lot longer in battle, no longer threatened by the AoE Burning Head. Without their only source of AoE damage and all their missiles are otherwise occupied, the Chaos Dwarfs are in big trouble in this kind of late game scenario. Let's slightly fast forward a bit, as there's not a whole lot of maneuver on the field. Mostly it's just infantry grinding against infantry. Tzeentch the Black, knowing he's not the best blob killer, is going after the high value targets, aka the Banshees, nutting down this vampire hero and try to eliminate the vampire count leadership support. The Chaos Dwarf infantry will just have to stand their ground and hold out against the undead horde of ghosts and zombies. The Tithe is still very much healthy though, with a lot more models than your usual zombies, 172 models, still 200 max actually, while your normal zombie only has like 160. So they have a lot more HP, a lot more numbers, and on top of that, a lot more physical resistance at 20% to help them sustain even longer against enemy attacks. They're not gonna kill the Chaos Dwarf warriors, but they have the stickiness to keep those warriors occupied and buy time for the Khan Wraiths, who have more speed to flank around and cut down the enemy units doing all the damage. Though eventually the zombies are probably just gonna get grind down. With the help of the Banshee, another unit of Infernal Gods with Fireglaves have been taken out by the Khan Wraiths. They don't have a whole lot of melee attack, but at this point I don't think that matters anymore, as the Infernal Gods are extremely depleted and hunted down by the pursuing Khan Wraiths, further depleting the Chaos Dwarf from their missiles, and here comes the Chaos Dwarf warrior charging in, probably not a good trait for them. Now back to Tzeentch, he has sniped out one of the Banshees, but he's also surrounded by Khan Wraiths. This ethereal unit has the Frostbite attack that slows down their target by 30%, combined with the Vigor debuffs. Tzeentch's speed has been slowed significantly, and he is unable to shrug off the Khan Wraiths easily. Which means the second Banshee, despite taking significant damage, was still able to get away and now going to terrify some other Chaos Dwarf infantry, including the Fireglaves. Now Tzeentch being surrounded in prolonged melee combat, he needs to get out of there ASAP, but can he do it with all that Frostbite effect? We shall see. While the Chaos Dwarf warriors will be holding their ground against the enemy Tithe here, they're getting dragged down bit by bit, but it's not a fast process. The Tithe has abysmal melee attack after they're still zombies despite being a regiment of renown. And yeah, up against some armored infantry, they are really struggling. Which is why they need some support from the Khan Wraiths there. The Khan Wraiths do the damage while the Tithe takes the blows. The Banshee, being an armor-piercing character, is also helping out in this process, terrifying another unit of infantry away. Now this Banshee do have to be careful. Tzeentch got some great value already killing the other characters, definitely need to stick to the Khan Wraith support whenever she can. But the problem with Tzeentch is he is just not able to get away. He's trying to pull away now, but with just one or two models in front of him, he is slowed down significantly. And he's just really struggling to get out of the fray with all these Khan Wraiths backstabbing him with their scythes. Khan Wraiths at 41 speed while Tzeentch is at 51 speed. Still some difference, but not enough to make up for the charge acceleration. And Tzeentch is once again stuck in the middle of a pile of ghosts. We'll do a bit more fast forward here as the Conraves and the Banshee is working slowly but surely through the health of these Chaos Dwarf warriors. The Tithe is coming in really clutch here, being the meat shields for the damage output of the Conraves, while Tzeentch the Black still stuck in a bunch of Conraves, unable to get out of the surround, taking more and more damage from those magical attacks and also armor piercing. Not that he have that much armor to begin with on a Lamasu mount anyways. And yeah, once again he tries to pull away, but he's just not getting out now that he is severely damaged. I think that's the wounded status. Yeah, the wounds, minus 10% speed, dropping him down to 43 speed only, and the Conraves have no issue catching up with him at all, as their charge animation does give them a little bit speed up to keep them right next to their pursuing target. So yeah, Tzeentch the Black might actually get shattered here, or even get killed on the ground, as the Conraves delivers their killing blow, leaving only the Chaos Dwarf warrior still in the fight. Can they survive against these tattered Conraves? Looks like the Banshee is still holding with the physical resistance, blocking a ton of attacks and damage from the Chaos Dwarf warriors. We're going to fast forward here as the Chaos Dwarf warriors and the Banshee make their last stand, but seems like with the additional armor piercing damage taken from the Conraves, that shall be army losses, and victory barely belongs to the Vampire Count. GG to both players here, and a very clutch win to General Spotify, as he was able to keep those Conraves alive well into the late game, who were able to drag down a ton of Chaos flavored Dwarf Tin Cans, and more importantly, tied out Tzeentch the Black with their Frostbite effect and drag him down in the infantry blobs. Now for the rest of the army, they didn't do a whole lot here. The zombies, Felbats, dire wolves, mostly just there to distract the enemy shooting power, and the Vargais, very disappointing performance there, assuming they just died in the early game since we didn't really see them afterwards. Special mention of Heinrich Kemmler, not because he died very early, but because he managed to get a Krell summon that managed to snipe out the Demon Smith Sorcerer, denying the Chaos Dwarfs from their burning heads, and that was the key to keep these Conraves alive in the late game there, which were the key of Vampire Count comeback. Banshee's not doing a whole lot, and instead taking a lot of damage from Tzeentch the Black's Lamasu mount. Tzeentch the Black did some good damage with the character attacks, but unfortunately not able to carry the game here, as he was not able to get rid of those Conraves and just got bogged down and dragged down in a prolonged combat. The Demon Smith Sorcerer Burning Heads could have been key to eliminate all these Conraves, but unfortunately only killed one Conraves, and then, well, Krell came in and finished him off. Infantry-wise, the Chaos Dwarf Warriors didn't do a whole lot. They just don't have enough numbers to deal with all these infantry and mobility threats from the Vampire Count army, so the blunderbusses as a result got tied down and didn't do too much damage over time. Same goes for the Fireglaves. These guys did a little bit better. Same goes for this one Hobgoblin Archer, who did a whole lot of damage. Presumably this is the one that did a number onto Heinrich Kemmler when he got hit by the sadistic snare. And that's all for today's battle. I hope you all enjoyed this multiplayer action, and if you want to see more Total Warhammer multiplayer content, be sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Tactical Lich signing out.